Welcome, or as people say here in Barcelona, benvinguts. Take a slow breath and imagine that you are stepping outside into the warm night air of the city. It's late, the streets are calmer now, the noise of the day has softened, and Barcelona feels different, more intimate, more honest. You're here to walk, not to rush, not to check landmarks off a list, just to move slowly through the city, letting it reveal itself to you. Tonight we'll take a gentle night walk through Barcelona, following the way the city itself has grown over time. We'll begin with its Roman origins, moving through the ancient streets of the Gothic quarter, before opening into the wider avenues of the Eixample, where the city expanded and reimagined itself. From there, we'll approach the softly illuminated Sagrada Família, before drifting into the quieter village-like streets of Gràcia, where local life continues at a slower rhythm. Later, we'll make our way toward the sea, passing through the historic port of Barcelona and the relaxed coastal atmosphere of Barceloneta, where the city's relationship with the Mediterranean becomes impossible to ignore. And finally, we'll touch on one of Barcelona's strongest modern identities, near Camp Nou, where football, culture, and collective memory come together. There's no need to remember every name or detail. Just let these places unfold naturally as you walk through them. As you begin walking, you might notice something right away. Barcelona doesn't really sleep, it rests. There's a quiet hum in the background, distant voices, a scooter passing far away, the echo of footsteps on stone. This city has always lived between movement and pause. Barcelona is more than 2,000 years old. Long before it became the vibrant Mediterranean city we know today, it was already a place of passage. The Romans arrived here around the 1st century before Christ and founded a small colony called Barcino. They chose this spot for very practical reasons. Close to the sea, protected by gentle hills, and positioned along important trade routes. If you were standing here 2,000 years ago, you would already recognize the logic of the city. The Romans built walls, streets, and forums, and although most of them are hidden now, they still shape the Barcelona you're walking through tonight. As centuries passed, Barcelona changed hands many times. Visigoths, Moors, Franks, each left traces, sometimes visible, sometimes invisible. During the Middle Ages, Barcelona grew into a powerful maritime city. It became one of the great ports of the Mediterranean, trading with Italy, North Africa, and the Eastern world. This long relationship with the sea shaped the character of the city. Barcelona learned to look outward, to absorb influences, to reinvent itself again and again. As you walk, notice how the city feels human-sized. Buildings aren't overwhelming. Streets invite you in rather than pushing you away. This is not accidental. Barcelona was shaped by people who believed cities should be lived in, not just admired. That belief will follow us throughout tonight's walk, as we move between neighborhoods with distinct identities, pause near places filled with symbolism and history, and let the city slowly explain itself step by step. Tonight, you're not just visiting Barcelona, you're experiencing how it breathes after dark. There's no rush, no schedule to follow, just one step at a time. As we continue walking, allow yourself to relax into the rhythm of the city. Let the soft glow of streetlights guide you forward. And when you're ready, we'll begin our journey into the heart of Barcelona. As you continue walking, the streets begin to narrow slightly. The ground beneath your feet feels older here. You are entering the oldest heart of Barcelona, the area that once was Roman Barcino. 2,000 years ago, this was not a large city. It was a compact, well-organized Roman settlement, protected by strong stone walls. Barcino was designed with precision, straight streets, public buildings, temples and homes arranged with purpose. Even now, As you walk calmly through the night, you're following the same paths Roman citizens once did. The Romans believed cities should reflect order and control. Their streets were laid out in a grid, with two main axes crossing at the center, a structure still hidden beneath today's streets. In some places nearby, fragments of those Roman walls are still standing. They've survived invasions, medieval expansions, and modern construction. They are among the oldest visible structures in the city. As the Roman Empire declined, Barcelona didn't disappear. Instead, it adapted. During the early Middle Ages, the city transformed slowly. Stones from Roman buildings were reused, walls were reinforced, churches began to rise where temples once stood. This is why the Barry Gothic, or Gothic quarter, feels layered rather than uniform. It's not purely medieval. It's a conversation between centuries. As you walk deeper into this area, notice how the streets twist and turn. This wasn't planned chaos, it was organic growth. Homes were built close together for protection. Shadows were welcomed, especially in the Mediterranean heat. At night, the Barry Gothic becomes especially atmospheric. Streetlights reflect softly on worn stone walls. Balconies lean slightly inward, as if listening. This neighborhood was once the political and religious center of the city. Kings walked these streets. Merchants negotiated here. Public announcements echoed between buildings. One of the most symbolic spaces nearby is Plaça Sant Jaume. This square has been a center of power for over 2,000 years. In Roman times, it was the forum, the heart of civic life. Today, it still holds the city's political institutions. Very few places in Europe have served the same function for so long. That continuity is one of Barcelona's quiet strengths. As you move on, you might notice small details: carved stone faces, old plaques, narrow passages opening unexpectedly into small squares. These are not decorative accidents. They tell stories of guilds, religious orders, and families who shaped the city over generations. The Gothic quarter is not frozen in time. People still live here. Laundry hangs from balconies. Lights flicker inside apartments. History here isn't distant, it's domestic. As you walk, imagine the countless lives that have crossed these same stones. Moments of celebration, moments of fear, moments of ordinary life. This area has witnessed plagues, wars, revolutions, and rebirths. And yet, it remains calm tonight. Take a slow breath. You're not just observing the Barry Gothic, you're moving through the foundation of Barcelona itself. And as we leave these ancient streets behind, the city is about to open up dramatically, both in space and in ideas. When you're ready, we'll step into a Barcelona that was designed to look toward the future. As you keep walking, something begins to change. The streets slowly widen. The air feels more open. Buildings step back, allowing space for light and breath. You've just left the medieval city behind, and you're entering Eixample, one of the most important urban projects in modern European history. In the mid-19th century, Barcelona was suffocating. The old city was overcrowded. Disease spread easily. Living conditions were harsh, especially for the working class. The medieval walls that once protected Barcelona had become a prison. So in 1859, a radical idea was approved: tear down the walls and design an entirely new city extension. The man behind this vision was Ildefons Cerdà. Cerdà wasn't just an architect or an engineer, he was a social thinker. He believed cities should be designed for health, equality, and dignity. As you walk these streets tonight, you're walking inside his idea. Notice the grid pattern. The streets intersect at right angles, forming perfect squares known as blocks. But look closer, the corners of these blocks are cut diagonally. These chamfered corners, called shaft lanes, were designed to improve visibility, airflow, and sunlight. This wasn't aesthetic, it was human-centered design. Serdar imagined that every block would have gardens inside, green spaces where people could rest, children could play, and air could circulate freely. That vision was never fully realized. Economic interests filled many of those spaces with buildings. But the philosophy remains embedded in the city. Another revolutionary idea was equality. Serdar wanted all streets to be similar in width. No grand avenues reserved only for the wealthy. No hidden dark alleys for the poor. In theory, every resident would have access to light, air, and services. As you walk, notice how consistent the rhythm feels. There's a sense of balance, a quiet order. At night, the Eixample feels especially calm. Traffic is distant. Streetlights create long reflections on the pavement. Look up. Many of the buildings around you belong to the Modernism movement, Catalan Art Nouveau. This was a time when Barcelona was flourishing economically and culturally. The city wanted to express confidence, creativity, and identity. Balconies curve like waves. Ironwork twists into organic shapes. Facades are covered in floral patterns, symbols, and stories. These buildings were statements. They told the world that Barcelona was modern, ambitious, and deeply artistic. What's remarkable is that this neighborhood, designed more than 150 years ago, still functions beautifully today. People live here, they walk, they sit at cafes, they rest. Serdar once wrote that a city should serve life, not dominate it. As you continue your walk through the Eixample, you can feel that intention in the space around you. You're walking through a future that was imagined long ago, and in many ways successfully achieved. Ahead of you, rising softly into the night sky, is a building that embodies both dream and devotion. A place where architecture, faith, and obsession meet. When you're ready, we'll walk toward one of the most extraordinary monuments ever built. As you continue walking, you begin to notice something rising above the rooftops. At first, it feels distant, almost unreal. Then slowly, its shape becomes clearer. You're approaching La Sagrada Família. Even at night, even in silence, it's impossible to ignore. It doesn't dominate the city. It emerges from it, like something grown rather than built. Construction began in 1882. At that time, Barcelona was transforming rapidly. Industry was growing, wealth was expanding, and the city was redefining itself. The project started modestly, as a traditional church funded entirely by private donations. From the very beginning, it was meant to belong to the people. A year later, a young architect took over the project. His name was Antoni Gaudí. At first, no one imagined how deeply this building would become intertwined with his life. Gaudí gradually transformed the project into something radically different. He rejected straight lines, rigid symmetry, and conventional forms. Instead, he looked to nature. As you stand here, notice how the towers resemble trees reaching upward, how surfaces curve and flow, how nothing feels static. Gaudí believed that nature was the purest expression of divine creation. If God created the world without straight lines, he reasoned, why should architecture rely on them? This idea shaped every part of the Sagrada Família. As you walk slowly around it, you're not just circling a building. You're moving through a theological and artistic vision. The basilica tells the story of Jesus Christ through its facades. The Nativity facade, rich with detail and softness, celebrates life, birth, and hope. It's filled with plants, animals, and gentle movement. The Passion facade, stark and angular, reflects suffering and sacrifice. Its sculptures feel raw, almost unsettling, intentionally so. Gaudí wanted people to feel the story, not just understand it. One of the greatest curiosities of the Sagrada Família is that Gaudí never expected to see it finished. He designed it knowing it would take generations. "My client is not in a hurry," he famously said, referring to God. Gaudí devoted the last years of his life entirely to this project. He lived simply, he worked obsessively. In 1926, he died after being struck by a tram, mistaken for a beggar due to his modest appearance. He is buried inside the Sagrada Família. Few architects have ever been so completely absorbed by a single creation. As you stand here at night, notice how the basilica feels alive even in stillness. Lights reveal textures that disappear during the day. Shadows deepen the sense of mystery. And despite over a century of construction, the building remains unfinished. This is not a failure, it's part of its identity. The Sagrada Família represents patience, continuity, faith across time. It's a reminder that some things are not meant to be rushed. As you slowly walk away, carrying the image with you, the city feels quieter again. Barcelona has many symbols, but this one speaks softly and for a very long time. When you're ready, we'll continue toward a neighborhood that reflects creativity, community, and everyday life. As you walk away from the monumental presence of the Sagrada Família, the city slowly changes again. The streets become slightly narrower. The rhythm feels different, more local, more personal. You're entering Gràcia. For a long time, Gràcia was not part of Barcelona at all. Until the end of the 19th century, it was an independent village, separated from the city by fields, paths, and small farms. People here had their own traditions, their own celebrations, and a strong sense of identity. Even today, Gràcia still feels like a town within a city. As you walk through its streets at night, you can sense that independence. There's less formality here, less symmetry, more improvisation. Historically, Gràcia attracted artisans, workers, and later, artists and thinkers. It became a place where alternative ideas could grow. This spirit of resistance and creativity is deeply rooted. During the 19th century, Gràcia was known for its political activism. Workers' movements, social protests, and cultural associations flourished here. That rebellious character never fully disappeared. As you walk past small squares, plazas, notice how they feel like living rooms for the neighborhood. Chairs stacked quietly, lights glowing from nearby apartments, a few voices in the distance. These squares weren't designed to impress outsiders, they were built for daily life. One of the most important traditions in Gràcia is its relationship with community. Every August, the neighborhood celebrates Festa Major de Gràcia. Residents decorate entire streets by hand, competing playfully to create the most imaginative designs. It's not a commercial event, it's collective creativity. That tells you a lot about this place. Architecturally, Gràcia is modest but expressive. Buildings aren't grand, but they're full of character. Balconies are close, windows face each other. This closeness shaped a strong social fabric. As you walk here at night, the calm feels earned. This is a neighborhood that has lived intensely and knows how to rest. Gràcia also played a key role in Barcelona's cultural life during the 20th century. Independent theaters, cinemas, and cafes became meeting points for intellectuals and artists. This made Gràcia a place of conversation, political, artistic, human. As you continue walking, notice how the city feels less monumental and more intimate. You're no longer observing symbols, you're sharing space. This balance between individuality and community is one of Barcelona's quiet strengths. Gràcia reminds you that cities are not just built, they are inhabited. As you slowly leave the neighborhood behind, the city begins to open again. The sea air becomes more noticeable. The soundscape changes. Ahead lies a space where Barcelona reconnects with its Mediterranean nature. When you're ready, we'll walk toward the water. As you continue walking, the air begins to change. It feels slightly cooler now, more open. There's a faint trace of salt carried by the night breeze. You're approaching the sea. Barcelona has always been defined by its relationship with the Mediterranean, not just geographically, but emotionally, economically, and culturally. For centuries, the city lived with its back partially turned to the water. The sea was essential for trade and survival, but also dangerous and unpredictable. Pirates, storms, and invasions were real threats. This is why, for much of its history, Barcelona protected itself rather than opening fully to the coastline. As you walk closer to the port area, imagine what this space once looked like. In medieval times, the port was not a polished marina. It was a working shoreline filled with wooden docks, warehouses, ropes, nets, and voices in many languages. Merchants from Italy, North Africa, and the Eastern Mediterranean arrived here carrying spices, fabrics, and ideas. Barcelona grew wealthy through this exchange. The sea made the city outward-looking. It taught Barcelona how to adapt. Nearby, you enter La Barceloneta. This neighborhood has a very specific origin. It was built in the 18th century to house fishermen and residents displaced by the construction of a military citadel. The streets were designed narrow and efficient, optimized for sea winds and daily routines. As you walk through Barceloneta at night, notice how compact everything feels. Buildings are close, balconies nearly touch. This closeness created strong bonds between neighbors. Life here has always been communal. For generations, families lived from the sea. Fishing was not romantic, it was demanding and uncertain. That shaped a culture of resilience. Barceloneta also has its own culinary identity. Simple, honest food. Fresh fish. Rice dishes cooked slowly. Even today, restaurants here reflect that tradition. In the late 20th century, Barcelona underwent a profound transformation. The 1992 Olympic Games redefined the city's relationship with the sea. Industrial zones were cleared, beaches were restored, public spaces were created. For the first time in modern history, Barcelona fully embraced its coastline. As you walk along the waterfront now, the city feels expansive. Streetlights reflect on calm water. Palm trees sway gently. The sea no longer feels like a boundary. It feels like an extension of the city. This transformation changed how people live. The beach became part of daily life, not just a destination. As you stand here for a moment, listening to the quiet rhythm of the water, it's easy to understand why the Mediterranean has shaped Barcelona's temperament. Open, balanced, unhurried, the city breathes differently near the sea. As you slowly turn away from the water, there's one more powerful symbol of Barcelona's identity waiting ahead. A place where passion, community, and emotion come together. When you're ready, we'll walk toward a name known far beyond the city itself. As you continue walking, the city opens up again. The streets are wider here, more spacious. The buildings step back, and there's a quiet sense of scale around you. You're walking near the Spotify Camp Nou. Even at night, even without crowds, it's impossible not to feel its presence. This is not just a stadium, it's one of the most powerful emotional landmarks in Barcelona. FC Barcelona was founded in 1899, at a time when the city was growing rapidly and redefining itself. From the beginning, the club reflected Barcelona's open nature. Its founder, Joan Gamper, was a foreigner who embraced the city and its culture. That alone tells you something important. Barca was never meant to be closed or exclusive. It was meant to belong. As you walk calmly around the stadium, imagine the decades layered into this space. Matches played under dictatorship, moments of joy during times of hardship, collective celebrations and shared silences. During much of the 20th century, especially under Franco's regime, Catalan identity was suppressed. The Catalan language was restricted, symbols were banned. But here, inside this stadium, people could still express who they were. Supporting Barca became a quiet act of cultural resistance. That's where the phrase "make un club" truly comes from. More than football, more than competition, it was, and still is, a space of identity. The Camp Nou, inaugurated in 1957, was built to reflect ambition. At the time, it became the largest stadium in Europe, not to intimidate, but to gather. One of the most unique aspects of FC Barcelona is that it is owned by its members, the Socis. This makes the club part of the city's social fabric, not a private entity. As you walk here at night, the stadium feels calm, resting, but you can sense the echoes, the sound of tens of thousands of voices rising together, the pause before a decisive moment. Barcelona's football philosophy also reflects the city's values: patience, creativity, collective intelligence. The famous style of play, built around possession and movement, wasn't accidental. It was cultivated deliberately, just like the city itself. Today, the stadium is undergoing transformation, adapting to modern needs while trying to preserve its soul. Change here is not a break from tradition, it's a continuation of it. As you slowly move away from the Spotify Camp Nou, the emotion softens. The city returns to its quiet nighttime rhythm. Barcelona has many faces: ancient streets, modern avenues, sea air, creative neighborhoods, and here, passion. As your steps slow, it feels like the right moment to bring this journey gently to an end. As the night deepens, your steps naturally slow. The city feels softer now, quieter, as if Barcelona itself were preparing to rest. You've walked through centuries tonight, from Roman stones to modern avenues, from devotion and obsession to creativity, community, sea air, and passion. And yet, nothing felt rushed. That's the true rhythm of Barcelona, a city that knows how to move forward without forgetting where it comes from. As you stand here for a final moment, notice how the city holds its contrasts: old and new, order and spontaneity, intensity and calm, all coexisting. Barcelona doesn't demand your attention, it invites it. You don't conquer this city, you walk it slowly until it stays with you. As the streetlights glow steadily around you, there's no need to go anywhere else tonight. You can simply breathe. Let the images settle. Let the stories fade gently into the background. If your eyes feel heavy now, that's okay. Barcelona has always been a city that understands pauses. And if you're still awake, perhaps you're already imagining another place, another city, another quiet walk. Wherever you choose to go next, you'll be welcome. Thank you for walking through Barcelona tonight. Or, as they say here, Gràcies, bona nit. And if you'd like to continue discovering the world, one calm night walk at a time, you're always welcome to follow the channel and join us in another city whenever you're ready. Good night.